Hello traders and welcome to today's market update. My name is Nick, and in today's video we're going to be taking a look at the currency market, looking for some potential setups as well as trade ideas and major levels in the currency market to see what's going on. Let's go ahead and jump right into today's video. We're going to start out by taking a look as per usual at the EURUSD. Now price has been in a bearish trend for quite some time here. You can see if we draw this trend line here that we are still holding and respecting this trend line as a sell pressure zone. You can see recently in fact that price came up into this area, tested it, and did find seller resistance. And as we trade up into that zone at the time of making this video, price is still showing some signs of rejection in this area. The question will be, will sellers be able to hold this and continue to push price to the lows as we have seen for quite some time in recent kind of structure, right? So the overall structure is down. We've respected this area. And the question is, will we be able to see some movement to the downside? I think that the strength of the euro trend to the downside is still very there. And there is the opportunity to see some potential downside, just something to look out for. If we do start to see a movement to the downside, our first stop where we might find buyer support is of course this level here. Recent structural support has been held there, but the longer term level would be to retest kind of these recent structure lows. You can see we did get a nice little bounce off of that low structure, but if price can make its way back down there, we might be able to kind of satisfy the continuation of this longer term trend on the short side at looking at EURUSD. Next up is GBPUSD. Looking here on the 4-hour chart, what you can see is that the overall trend, again, is still very bearish on the pound here. Now, the question, though, is as price starts to push through these levels, you can see if we draw this trend line that we have been watching for quite some time, you can see that we have started to disrespect that level. In fact, we do see some signs of bullish continuation here. In fact, if we do see kind of this structural level here, if I draw this zone, you can see that price broke through this level of trend line resistance as well as broke through that level of horizontal resistance. Now became support on the start of this week, and we've seen a continuation pattern to continue here on GBPUSD. Now, if we back out a little bit, we can see that there is some structure that price is heading up into right here, which might be an interesting level to watch out for. Now, if you are a buyer, you might consider taking a look at this level as a potential level of resistance, as this has held as a strong structural kind of shelf here, if you will, before price broke through. So sellers still may be strong in this area if price can get up into that area. Of course, the overall sentiment here is we do have a lot of bullish momentum on GBP. USDJPY is going to be our next one, which has been interesting because lately we had been looking at a kind of sideways channel that we've been watching for quite some time. But recently we did see price break through that structure and in fact even retest it. You can see we got a nice little bullish pin bar there, some continuation. The question will be, can we see some continued upside on USDJPY? My first bias is going to be that yes, we do see some continuation as we have seen it break through a significant structural level of resistance. Brent crude is going to be our next one. And what you can see here is that we also have kind of a sideways trending market, but we did break to the upside on Brent crude. Now, again, we had been watching this horizontal kind of back and forth market for quite some time. In fact, we even saw some nice little bearish pin bar kind of full follow through here on this particular move. But now prices pushed through the highs. We've closed above recent structure support and we see some continuation. Now, if price can come down to retest this level, this might be a bullish opportunity for people watching oil. If price can pull back to this area here, this level may act as a significant level of support before buyers push price, maybe even to recent structure highs. The next one is going to be WTI crude, which is going to look pretty similar. Now, what you can see here is that, again, price is already retested and we barely broke through that level here. You can see we got that same bearish pin bar here as this is still tracking oil in a similar way. But what you can see is price broke through this level and retested that level of support. Now, the question is, will we see some continuation to follow through on this bullish momentum that we do see happening on oil? XAUUSD has pulled back recently, guys. And what you can see here is that if we zoom out to the daily chart, this level that we had been talking about as a potential trend line level is coming potentially into contact pretty soon. If price can get a little bit further down and test this trend line, it will be a big decision moment to see if the trend will continue, right along this horizontal level of potential support. Well, the question will be, can we see a continuation, or are we going to see finally, after all this bullish momentum, some sort of break, right? So if price comes down into this area, will we get some sort of bounce to continue through recent highs and continue this uptrend, or are we going to see the breakthrough? Now, if we do see this, if we see some continued bearish momentum, here's where I think we could potentially get involved. We could get involved on a retest of structure after a significant rejection of this support level, right? If price can break right through there, that's a strong sign by sellers, and we may see some continuation. USD Canadian has been selling off significantly recently. You can see that we did get some sort of trend line break. You can see a beautiful little trade here to the short side right here. As price did close underneath that level, we have seen some follow through, some continuation on the move here on USD Canadian. Now the question will be, how far is it going to go to the downside? I will say that one particular level to look for is potentially this area here. As you can see, we have seen some congestion as well as some respect from both buyers and sellers. Maybe a longer term outlook is if we do see a continuation to the downside, maybe we see USD Canadian sell off to recent structure lows to retest if there is demand in that area. EURGBP is the next one, guys, and taking a look here at the daily chart, you can see that we have started to break structure here as well. If we draw a trend line, you can see that price did try to hold this level as price came into this area, but ultimately we chopped away and actually broke down through that level. We are, however, coming into an area of interest. You can see this area here, right? If we make this light green, what you can see is that this level historically has held as a strong level for buyers. And if price can get down into this zone or hold this zone well, if we see some sort of confirmation, we might see a continuation pattern of a kind of pullback and kind of continuation of that upward momentum. The question will be how price does react to this level. If we do break through that level, we might be continuing down further for EURGBP. We may be even heading down to test this structural low here, or even longer term, maybe this long-term, very kind of key level here. You can see that price had reacted quite heavily to this area multiple times. So this may be a level that price wants to test again. Aussie USD has been absolutely bullish recently as price has been kind of making its way to the upside on some good news, as well as just kind of overall looking oversold here. You can see we were extended quite heavily to the downside on Aussie USD. And now what we see here is we do see, if we just use a regular line, price is coming into a level of potential resistance, right? You can see that this zone here has been a significant bounce point for buyers. And so on this retest, it might actually be a strong sell point as buyers were not able to hold it here. Sellers may look to take an opportunity in this area. Something to watch there on Aussie USD. Guys, thanks so much for taking the time to watch today's market update, and we'll catch you next time.